Here we have the Nike Air Zoom Spiridon, and this is the Fragment version in Blue Void. And one of the things about this particular sneaker, I tried to enter some raffles, I think maybe a few weeks back, and they pretty much sold out. And I thought maybe they'll be, very limited. And obviously later on they dropped at more retailers and also on the Nike sneakers app. And so a lot of the sizes are sitting, especially maybe the mid to sort of smaller sizes. So for that reason, I thought, try to sort of grab them just to do a review on them. This is my first pair of Fragment sneakers and my first pair of Spiridons. So it's interesting to sort of see this particular silhouette. And they were originally released in 1996. So as far as I know, and from what I've read and from what was mentioned on Wear Testers, because there's a review up there which was very helpful. But basically, this one was the first sneaker to have a Zoom Air unit in there. And it was also named after the first marathon runner. And because of that, they were made as a running sneaker back in the day. So it's near enough coming up to sort of 30 years old for this particular pair. And it was also known as the first Air Zoom sneaker. So with the details, it comes in a white, black and blue void colorway. And pretty much sort of simple, really. I think it's very much a Fragment sneaker in that respect. It's simple with this aesthetics, and the staple seems to be white and some sort of blue variation and black. So again, very simple, very easy to wear as well, I guess, in terms of sneaker. And then it has that classical Fragment type labeling as well on the outside of the sneaker. And you can also see on the outsole as well, it's got the Fragment kind of branding on there. And these have a full-length Zoom Air unit underneath the sole. So I did some research on this particular one, and there was thankfully some early reviews on YouTube. So if you can sort of see in here, this whole inner lining is basically where the Zoom Air unit fits. So it's a slightly different. Usually you have the Zoom Air unit inside and of the midsole, but for this one it's at the bottom, so it kind of gives you a slightly different effect. And also the traction pattern you can sort of see is sitting up slightly above that in terms of the outsole. So I don't feel as much as it on foot as what I thought I would. And it has a Cushlon midsole from what I can tell, and from what's been mentioned online, it's not the softest, but it's more on the firmer side in my opinion. And like I said, it's got a rubber outsole. So this one is used on the field jacks as well, and a slightly adapted version for that one. And it's a bit weird when you kind of sort of see it in hand, and that's probably one of the selling points of the Spiridon. But it seems to be okay actually, and not too much in terms of issues, I suppose. And the price for these are £155, which is slightly above they kind of released about a week later the GR version of these, or the OG versions of these. So with the comfort and sizing, kind of like any other Air Max sneaker really, this one's more on the medium to firm side. You don't feel too much of the Zoom Air cushioning in there, and you can sort of see inside it's got sort of a neutral fit really in terms of your arch and how you sort of sit, so which is quite different for a runner. And because it doesn't have a TPU plate in there as well, and just the Zoom Air unit going around the bottom, it's one of those ones where I felt, I don't know, depending on what surface you're on, I kind of wore these on carpet, and I just felt like there was quite a lot of pronation, which obviously for me is not good. So because I have a wide foot, and I kind of tend to have a sort of more of a flat foot, so I tend to sort of sit, my foot, it kind of naturally goes more pronated anyway. So with this one, because it's got no TPU plate, there's no sort of support or kind of I suppose shank plate kind of running down this side where it would sort of support that. And I felt like I was kind of maybe slightly pronating that way a bit, so you will feel that maybe. And depending on the type of person you are and your weight, and whether you walk supinated or pronated, you might find issues that this sort of starts to feel like it's caving in on this side. So just be wary of that. Like I said, because there's no TPU plate in there, that's probably why. And just in general, because of the upper being pretty much a sort of textile upper, synthetic upper, there's no sort of wearing time with these. They're pretty good to go out of the box. And you could go true to size, but I do recommend going half size up. I went half size up and I felt fine with these. They feel a little bit tight around here, but bearing in mind it's a mesh sneaker, so I'm sure they'll kind of wear in after a while. So just, I think for most people, you're probably better off going up half size, and if not, then true to size should work if you have like a narrow foot. And they have pretty good traction actually. Like the overall traction on this, like I said earlier, it works well. I'm not sure too much about the heel, and like I said, in terms of the pronation, but apart from that, it seems to work well. So with the look and style, I mean, much like any other sort of fragment sneaker, I suppose, it's quite sort of neutral. I don't mind that personally. Being more of a fan of like OG colorways and the sneaker looks, I found myself, this one to be slightly less, I suppose, shiny and sort of blingy, I suppose, and less on the kind of Y2K aesthetic. And it's one of those sort of sneakers that you can kind of wear every day without, and no one sort of batting an eyelid. So in that respect, it's quite a sort of simple sneaker. And, it is very much still within the runner style. And you can sort of see on here, it's got the 3M hits on the sneaker on the top, so with the lace eyelets, and also the running down the tongue in the middle to secure your laces in place. So for that reason, it's not too bad, I guess. Like it works well in my opinion. I think the overall design. This is obviously a classic. The writing on the side is a classic sort of fragment type vibes. And I feel like it's a good sneaker for spring, summer. It's kind of the wrong time to release them during the winter. But obviously I think they were trying to, get into the Christmas hype. And, also maybe then looking at, people purchasing these that wear in the sort of spring, summer time, which is maybe sort of due within the next few months. And it's a good sort of casual wear sneaker. There's nothing too, I suppose anything different really. It's pretty much, one of those sort of easy to wear, or going towards sort of the standard sort of Air Max type runner sneakers. And it comes with the white laces that's in there, but you can also put in a pair of grey or blue or even sort of sail laces. I think sail laces, with the fragment stuff works quite nice. So with the final thoughts, I do like the neutral colourways. I think it's quite simple and just easy to wear. Obviously it's not too much in terms of the design aesthetics, but I don't mind that personally. And the Zoom Air unit on the outsole, more than anything of whether it's sort of good for performance, it just looks cool. So when you see that outsole, it does look really cool and different to other sneakers. And with the cons, I think the cost, 155, is probably a bit too much. It's not much tech in there, it's just a Zoom Air running underneath. And like I said earlier, one of the downfalls of this, from what I can see, it's pronation heavy, so just you'll feel that sort of little bit of caving in on this side. But all depends on what kind of terrain you're sort of walking on. If you're walking on pavements, you're not going to notice it too much. So with the ratings, I give the look and style a 4 out of 5. I don't think it's one of those sneakers that you're going to go, wow, it's an amazing pair of sneakers. But it's fine for what it is. And same for the comfort. It's not like horrible. It's just quite sort of neutral on foot. Slightly more on the heavier side compared to other sneakers. And the quality, overall, nothing to complain about. It's fine. This sort of rough, sort of suede, almost going towards nubuck material on the mudguard area, and it's got a leather swoosh. But other than that, it's pretty much sort of good to go. And the pricing, I'm going to give that 4 as well. It's priced slightly too high. I think these should, I know this is a collab, but I think maybe around sort of the £135 mark would have been good. But overall, I'm going to give the sneaker a 4 out of 5. I think it's still fine. It's one of those sneakers. It's not going to wow you, but it's going to be one of those sneakers that you can just sort of throw into the rotation and put them on. Maybe you're sort of going to work, that kind of thing. And they're quite, I suppose, unique looking in this day and age compared to other sneakers that are out there.